The workplace is quickly changing. Massive scientific and technological advances, shifts in demographics and evolving needs are all driving this transformation. Businesses and employees are both scrambling to keep up. But what will work be like in the future? And what skills do individuals need, or will they need in that future, in order to survive and have meaningful roles in society? eNCA's Yusuf Omar went to find out. Let's watch this before we speak to him about this future.
Imagine a world of driverless cars and effortless interaction with information. Virtual reality rooms designing with light. Creation is now as easy as printing a document, while wearable devices track our health 24/7. The smart technology revolution has only just begun.
Yusuf, what inspired you to do this program?
Dan, we looked at a recent study of what is the biggest fears of young people today. And of course, this is a generation of young people that have had cell phones in their pockets, and they've had information coming through all of the time. And the things that came up the highest was obviously terrorism was high on their list. They lived through the 9/11 episodes. The debt crisis was on their risk because we've lived through a recession. Climate change was a big one. But the biggest fear of young people today is jobs. And they've got every reason to be fearful of not having a job. Because in my lifetime, going forward, every single job that can be automated, that can be done by a robot, will be done by a robot. So what are we going to do?
Okay. Now, robots have been around, though, for quite some time. What's different about them now? Has the technology really advanced to the point where you and I will be replaced by these robotic machines?
You're absolutely right. Since the production line of Henry Ford, there was robots creating cars. The difference is that robots are now not just imitating our muscles, but they're also imitating our minds. They're able to do, I mean, we're talking to our phone with Siri. It's incredible the things that our cell phones are doing. We've got more power in our phone today than we do in the space shuttle that went up to the moon for the first time.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about artificial intelligence and the Watson program of the likes of the IBMs of this world.
Exactly. You speak about Watson. Now, we think doctors and these sorts of high-level jobs will be immune. But if we look at IBM's Watson, it can scan through thousands of images of brains and pick out tumors and patterns that are not quite right far quicker than any human set of eyes.
You know, when I hear the word workplace, as Yuveka was reading the promo there and we're just promoting your interview, I was thinking, what workplace? Because traditional workplaces where you sit behind a desk or you come to a factory have really also been changing quite a bit. You can pretty much work from anywhere in the world today.
Dan, how many people are sitting at home watching this and they don't need to be traveling to that cubicle for their 9 to 5, that they could actually be doing their work at home just with a cup of coffee and an endless supply of Wi-Fi internet? This whole idea of us commuting great distances to a place that we don't even really want to work in is history, essentially. Even the idea of the word careers is now as outdated as a typewriter. We now think in terms of assignments, short-term gigs, essentially, where you get a group of people and they look at a job a bit like creating a film. You come in, you do your little bit, you leave, and you move on. The relationships are really short and you've got to be fast.
My father worked for one employer for more than 30 years of his life. He woke up in the morning, he had an 8 to 5 job. He commuted to the job, he did that. Most of his job, because he was not educated, he was not schooled, was a manual job. Manual jobs today, especially in emerging economies, are still there, especially for our extraction economies or sectors of the economy like mining and stuff like that. But even that is being automated more and more. So you're seeing a reduction of manual labor. Are we, in terms of our education today, preparing young people for that different future where different skills altogether are going to be required?
Well, here's the thing. How do we prepare our kids for a future that we don't even know what it's going to look like yet? Most of the jobs that exist today won't exist in the future. Most of the jobs of the future don't exist today.
And most likely, Yusuf, sorry to cut in there, most of what they are learning at varsity today may not be applicable or relevant in the future.
Absolutely. It's a tricky question. And so what skills do you need? And the answer is we all need to be Gen Flux. We need to be...
Gen what?
Gen Flux.
Okay.
The kind of generation that is fluid, that's adaptable. We thrive on change. Those are the people that are going to own the future.
So is it pretty much adapt or die kind of scenario?
It's Darwin-esque. It's not the strongest, it's not the sparsest. It's the people that can change and adapt the quickest to scenarios that are around. Everybody needs to start thinking like entrepreneurs. And if they're thinking like entrepreneurs, you don't necessarily need to be coming up with a new product, but repackaging it. Let's just take Uber, for example. The taxi industry have been around forever. So has your cell phone, but they combined the two. They found a way to take your GPS location, your credit card payments, and suddenly offer a new, more convenient service. We need South Africans to be thinking like that, especially to solve South African problems. Innovation technology can infinitely drive the bottleneck of service delivery that we have in this country.
Okay, the Future Fit, the program is premiering tonight at 9:30. Is it a series that you prepared for our viewers on eNCA on this matter?
That's right. So Future Fit Part 1 is at 9:30 this evening, and we're looking at the global trends. We're looking at freelancing becoming the mega trend, everybody working from home and doing their own thing. Part 2 then takes it home. It says, okay, that's the way the world is heading, but what about South Africa? We look at FET colleges. We look at the enormous amount of people that are studying skills that are largely irrelevant, exactly as you say, and how we can make market demands meet the demands of people that are coming out of the universities.
It's going to be a very big challenge, though, to find meaning and get meaningful roles coming out of the old way of working. But the younger generation, I'm sure already are thinking, what meaning is in what I do? I must not just do because it's a job.
That's right. We've looked at the baby boomers. I hate to say it, but you're Generation X. And we say, we don't want a life like you. You've worked hard. Your father worked for 30 years in one job. He was slaving away. We don't want that anymore. We want more than profit. We want to actually, we still believe we can change the world. We're social entrepreneurs. We want to solve healthcare issues. We want to solve poverty. And the other interesting thing is we don't have the same attachment to material values. We're okay with sharing. We're going to be living in a world of a shared economy where we share a car, where we might not even own a house our whole life, we rent. We're done with materialism. We've seen the downfall of it. We've seen the recession. We're saying we're not having any of that.
Yusuf, I can't wait to watch part 1 of
Thank you very much.
Tonight at 9:30.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much. That's our own Yusuf Omar previewing there tonight's Future Fit at 9:30. That's going to, of course, be the first part of that program.